I am not my own. I belong to a higher purpose. My life is not mine to waste. You wake in weakness. Your flesh pulls you to creature comforts, to self pity, to the endless loop of just 5 more minutes. But that cushion between you and responsibility is a trap. You are not created for ease, but for endurance. Your mind may groan over the alarm. Your heart may rebel against the discipline. But you must stand, you must rise, you must fight. Because here's the truth. You cannot serve 2 masters. The siren song of worldliness derails you. The weight of self-indulgence bends your knees to a lesser God. You and I both know this is not enough. That empty ache, the sting behind every pleasure, it's the echo of a purpose unmet. It's the hunger of a soul meant for something far greater than Netflix scrolling and momentary thrills. So every morning remind yourself, I will endure this pain today, not for self-glory, but for the sake of others. I refuse to shrink back from discomfort. Because if you bow at the altar of ease, how will you stand when real trials come? If you cannot say no to luxury, how will you say yes to sacrifice? The battlefield is not always overseas. It is in your own mind, in your bedroom, your commute, your juggling of duty and desire. Each moment you choose integrity over impulse, you carve another inch of character, you doom your own comfort to become something noble, and that is no small thing. It is the work of a lifetime. Every morning you must remind yourself, I will do without today, so others might do with tomorrow. It's the farmer who wakes before dawn to coax life from dirt, who knows the seed sleeps before green reaches the sky. You are that farmer. The sowing you do in self-denial, in relentless effort, in praying while you labor. It will bear fruit you may never taste. You will taste sorrow and you will taste failure, but never regret, for regret is the bitter echo of wasted dignity. Better to fall in battle than to sit on the sidelines of comfort. Better to sweat in the forge of discipline than to rust away in idleness. So pick up your cross, let it weigh heavy on your shoulder. Wipe your own face with the back of your knuckles and refuse to seek applause. For approval is fleeting, character is eternal. The voices that say, you deserve this, you deserve that, they are thieves in robes. And if you hand them the keys to your heart, they will load it with regrets and call it wealth. Wake, then, and proclaim, this day I will build. I will steer my passions toward purpose. I will fight for patience, for kindness, for zeal. I will battle the habits that rob me of meaning. I will invest my strength not in what eases me, but in what stretches me. Because the world is beckoning you with hollow promises. Like mirages in a desert, they glitter until you get close, and you find drought behind the shimmer, but grit, sweat, self-denial, these are real. These are the stones upon which mountains stand, and you are being shaped into a mountain builder, not one who stands for comfort, but one who stands for convictions. And yes, there will be mornings you fail. You will lie back down, you will taste the comforting drag of apathy, but the mark of a man or woman of resolve is this: you do not stay there, you do not excuse yourself. You say, I fell, but right now I rise. And you rise again, over and over and over, until rising becomes instinct. Every morning, then, must begin with the declaration, I will fight my flesh, I will follow truth, I will finish strong. This is not a one-time speech to yourself. This is your weekly, your yearly, your lifelong anthem. When the world hammers at your bones with loss and loneliness, you will remember this dawn. You will remember the fire you stoked in your soul before you even saw sunlight. And that fire, bright, fierce, unwavering, will become your light in the depths. Let discipline be your worship. Let sacrifice be your anthem. Let purpose be your reward. So rise, fight, and say it. This day is mine, not to waste, but to wield. And you shall wield it well, piece by piece, until your life becomes a testament not to what you got, but to what you gave. Each morning begins with a choice: surrender to ease or rise with resolve. Comfort is a subtle enemy that dulls purpose, but discipline sharpens the soul for higher calling. You were not made for self-indulgence. Your life is not your own. True meaning is found not in what pleases you, but in what you endure and give for the good of others and the glory of higher truth. The fight is not one grand moment. It is daily. You will fall, but you must rise again. Morning after morning, battle after battle, character is forged in repetition, not in single victories. Use your days to build virtue, sacrifice, perseverance, not to consume for comfort. When life presses you, it's not applause that will save you, but the strength that was built in quiet, obedient mornings. You wake up, and already a battle is taking place. Before your feet even touch the floor, something is whispering to your flesh, stay, rest, just a few more minutes. It wraps its fingers around your resolve and pulls you back under the sheets of forgetfulness. But you must understand, this is not just sleep, not just weariness. It's a test. It's the first test of the day, and if you fail it, you teach your soul to follow your feelings instead of truth. Comfort is not neutral. It pretends to be harmless, like a soft blanket or a warm drink. But in reality, comfort is a tyrant when you let it rule. It lulls you into a passive existence, convinces you that survival is success, and that peace means the absence of difficulty. But ease is a liar. It promises freedom and leaves you weak. It guarantees rest and leaves you restless. You were not created for comfort. You were created for courage. There is a narrow road that leads to life, and few find it because it is marked by blood, sweat, and perseverance. Discipline hurts. That's why it's called discipline, but it is in that pain where the transformation happens. It is through that ache that strength is forged. No one ever stumbled into greatness. No one ever drifted into holiness. Every inch gained is through warfare with the flesh. Every moment of real progress costs something, and it begins the moment you say no to the soft voice of laziness and yes to the hard path of endurance. You look around and the world is asleep. It is drunk on convenience. It runs from sacrifice and worships comfort. It crafts 1,000 idols out of pleasure and ease, calling them self, care, balance, relaxation. But what of the cross? What of sacrifice? What of doing what is right when it doesn't feel good? Has that become obsolete? The man or woman who embraces discipline is a rarity now, not because others can't, but because they won't. Because they've convinced themselves that any pain is bad, that any struggle means they're doing something wrong. But the opposite is true. The struggle is proof that you're resisting. The pain is evidence that you're growing. And discipline is the fire that burns away all the lies you've told yourself about how much you need to feel good in order to do what's right. You will not drift into a meaningful life. You will not accidentally become someone of courage, character, or conviction. Those things are not stumbled into. They are built painfully, slowly, one hard choice at a time. When your alarm goes off and your body says no, that is your first opportunity, not your first burden. Your first opportunity to say today, I will not serve my feelings. I will serve truth. I will live on principle, not on impulse. You want to be strong, then reject what weakens you. You want to live with clarity. Then stop feeding your mind with distractions that rot your discernment. You want to be wise. Then stop walking in the counsel of the comfortable. Comfort makes promises it cannot keep. It tells you that if you just rest a little longer, if you just indulge a little more, you'll be satisfied. But look at your life. Has comfort ever satisfied you, or has it just made you hungrier for more comfort? The disciplined life is not glamorous. There are no spotlights, no applause when you do the hard thing in secret. No one will cheer you on when you get up before the sun, when you deny yourself entertainment to focus, when you say no to your cravings and yes to your responsibilities, but heaven sees and your own soul knows. You begin to sense the power growing in you, not from outward praise, but from the quiet assurance that you are becoming the kind of person who doesn't fold when things get hard. You are becoming someone who can carry burdens, who can serve others even when no one says thank you, who can keep your word even when it hurts. That is what discipline creates in a person, not just outward success, but inward fortitude. You learn to do what is right because it's right, not because it feels good or benefits you in the moment. When you embrace discipline, you don't just change your habits, you change your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who shows up, someone who endures, someone who finishes what they start. And that changes how you walk, how you speak, how you approach hardship. You no longer fear it, you expect it, you welcome it, because you've tasted what's on the other side of it, and it's better than anything comfort ever gave you. Discipline teaches you to delay gratification, to endure pain for a future reward. It teaches you to think long-term in a short-term world, and in doing so, it aligns your life with truth, not with trends. Because the truth is this: your life is not about you. You are not made to chase after fleeting pleasures, to build a castle of comfort that will crumble when the storms come. You were made to be strong in the storm. You were made to stand when others sit, to press forward when others turn back. Do not envy those who have it easy. Do not compare yourself to those who gain without effort. You do not know what weakness lies behind their smile. You do not know what rot lies beneath the surface of that easy life. Do not trade your calling for comfort. Do not sell your soul for sleep. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret that will follow you, that will stain every joy with the taste of what could have been. This is a war, not with others, not with the world, but with yourself. Your laziness, your pride, your craving for comfort, they are not innocent. They are thieves, and they will steal every ounce of strength from your bones if you let them. But you are not a slave to them unless you choose to be. There is freedom in discipline, not the fake freedom the world sells you, the kind that chains you to your own impulses, but real freedom, the freedom to say no when others say yes, the freedom to endure when others break, the freedom to live for what matters, not just what's easy. Each day you choose discipline, you are saying, I want to be whole more than I want to be entertained. I want to be wise more than I want to be liked. I want to be faithful more than I want to be comfortable. And when you begin to live like that, the world will not understand you. They will call you extreme. They will say you take life too seriously. But better to be serious and alive than careless and asleep. There is a joy that comes from discipline that the comfortable will never know. It is not loud. It does not shout, but it is steady and it is strong. It is the joy of a clear conscience, the joy of a body that obeys the will, the joy of a mind that is not ruled by emotions. That is the kind of life worth living. That is the kind of life that can endure anything. But it starts in the little things, in getting up when you don't want to, in showing up when you don't feel like it, in staying silent when your pride wants to speak, in pushing forward when everything in you screams to stop. Those small choices are not small at all. They are the foundation of greatness. They are the building blocks of character. Don't wait for a feeling. Feelings are fleeting. Build a routine that is stronger than your mood. Build habits that will carry you when your motivation disappears, because it will disappear, but habits remain, conviction remains, truth remains, and discipline is the bridge between what you know is right and what you do each day. Many people know what they should do, few do it, knowledge is common, discipline is rare, and that's why the few who embrace it will rise. Not because they are more talented, but because they are more faithful, more consistent, more grounded in reality than in comfort. There is no greatness without cost, no reward without resistance, no victory without a fight. And the first fight every day is with yourself. Win that battle, and you can win any other. Lose it, and every other victory becomes hollow. You were not made to live soft. You were not made to drift. You were made to stand like iron, to burn like fire, to move with purpose. But you will never find that in the arms of comfort. You will find it in the furnace of discipline, in the grind of daily obedience. In the quiet, unnoticed, repeated choices that shape eternity. So when that moment comes, when the easy way tempts you, when your flesh cries out for escape, you already know what to do, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because it is right, and doing what is right is always worth it, even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it, because the eyes that matter always do. You were not born for the sake of feeling good. You are not placed on this earth to chase what pleases you. That lie is everywhere, woven into advertisements, whispered in entertainment, echoed even by people who mean well. They say, do what makes you happy, follow your heart, don't let anyone stop you. But the heart is deceptive, and happiness built on desire is a vapor. You were not created to pursue pleasure. You were created to fulfill a purpose, and purpose demands sacrifice. There is a difference between what feels good and what is good. Pleasure is momentary. It grabs your senses, promises satisfaction, then leaves you emptier than before. But purpose stretches beyond the moment. It demands something from you, but it gives something back. Something weighty, something real. Every time you trade purpose for pleasure, you are choosing to become less than what you were created to be. You are choosing comfort over calling. You are selling your birthright for a bowl of stew, and afterward you will hunger again. The pursuit of pleasure leads to slavery. The man who obeys his desires becomes ruled by them. He becomes weak, distracted, driven by whatever whispers loudest. One day it is food, the next it is lust, then approval, and then laziness. He is tossed by every craving, and in the end, he doesn't even know who he is anymore, because the soul cannot survive on indulgence. It needs truth. It needs burden. It needs to be driven by something bigger than itself. Look at the world around you. Look at the people who have spent their lives chasing what feels good. Are they satisfied? Are they whole? Do they live with peace? Or do they live with noise, needing more, craving more, never resting? That is not life. That is slavery dressed in luxury. That is death in disguise. Now look at those who live with purpose, real purpose, not just ambition or success, but a sense of why they're alive. They don't chase feeling good. They chase doing good. They wake with clarity. They serve with grit. They hurt, yes, but they hurt for something that matters. Their pain is not wasted. Their struggle is not random. There is something holy in their sacrifice, something eternal in their perseverance. Pleasure will always call to you. It will never stop. It will offer you ease, escape, and entertainment, but it will never offer you meaning. Meaning is forged in fire. It is found in the long nights, in the unseen work, in the small decisions made out of faithfulness and not feeling. Purpose is the road few want to walk because it is steep, narrow, and lonely. But it is the only road that leads to life. Do not trust the desire to feel good. It does not love you. It does not care about your soul. It only cares about the moment. It is a thief dressed in silk. But purpose, real purpose, It will wound you before it heals you. It will break you before it builds you. But when it has finished its work, you will stand, and you will not be moved. You will be rooted, unshaken, whole. Every time you choose to do what is right instead of what feels good, you are training your soul to lead your body. You are refusing to be ruled by cravings. You are rising above your animal instincts and choosing to walk in light instead of shadows. This is what separates those who endure from those who fade. This is what separates the mature from the immature. A child does what they want. A man or woman of conviction does what they must. You will be mocked for this. People will say you are too intense, that you should enjoy life, that you take things too seriously, but you must understand, they are not your standard. Their comfort is not your compass. Their pleasure is not your purpose. You were not made for the crowd. You were made to walk with resolve, even if the road is empty. When others choose indulgence, you choose responsibility. When others live for today, you live for eternity. When others take the easy road, you carry the weight. Why? Because you are not trying to feel good. You are trying to finish well. You are not here to impress others. You are here to be faithful, even when no one sees, even when no one understands. Pleasure whispers, you deserve this, but purpose declares, you were made for more. Pleasure says, just this once. Purpose answers, not even once. Pleasure invites you to sit. Purpose calls you to stand. And you must decide who you will listen to. You cannot serve both. You cannot walk in two directions. Every day you choose one voice or the other. There is a deep joy that comes not from feeling good, but from doing what is good. It is quiet, but it is strong. It is not the joy of amusement, but the joy of meaning. It is not the buzz of the moment, but the peace that sinks into your bones. That kind of joy cannot be bought. It cannot be found in pleasure. It is the reward of a life poured out for something greater than itself. You were not put here to make yourself comfortable. You were put here to build something that lasts, and nothing eternal is built on pleasure. It is built on sacrifice. It is built on discipline. It is built on moments when you say no to yourself so that you can say yes to a higher calling. So when you are tired, when you want to quit, when you are tempted to chase what feels good instead of what is right, remember your purpose. Remember why you started. Remember what you are becoming. You are not just making choices. You are shaping your soul. You are forming a life that will stand when others fall, that will shine when others fade. Purpose is not a feeling. It is a commitment. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel strong, but you can always choose to obey. You can always choose to show up. You can always choose to be faithful, even when everything in you wants to turn back. There is no greatness without suffering. There is no lasting legacy without cost. And there is no purpose fulfilled without denying yourself. So reject the lie that says you must feel good to do good. You don't. In fact, most of the time, you will do the best things when you feel the worst. That is the refining fire. That is where character is tested. That is where weak men become strong and aimless souls become warriors. Look at history. Look at the people who shaped the world for good. They did not live for pleasure. They lived for a mission, and most of them suffered for it, but they were not crushed. They were not bitter. They were filled with something deeper than momentary happiness. They were filled with conviction. Do not envy the comfortable. They have their reward. It is shallow and it will vanish, but your reward will be deep. It will last. It will echo into eternity, because purpose is never wasted. Not a single act of obedience, not a single moment of self-denial, not a single sacrifice made in the name of truth is forgotten. It matters, it counts, it endures. You have one life, just one. Do not waste it chasing what makes you feel good. Use it, pour it out. Let it be spent on something that outlives you. That is how you find joy, not by chasing it, but by pursuing what is true, what is noble, what is right. And when you do, you will look back, not with regret, but with peace, because you will know that you didn't live for the moment. You lived for the mission. You didn't serve yourself. You served something higher. And that is the kind of life that matters, not one filled with comfort, but one filled with conviction, not one ruled by desire, but one led by devotion, not one built on ease, but one forged in fire. You were not made for pleasure. You were made for purpose, and that truth will either define your life or be the thing you spend your life trying to forget. Choose well. You wake up every morning and you face the same war. Not a new war, not a different enemy, the same war you faced yesterday and the day before and the day before that. It's the war between the flesh and the spirit, between what is easy and what is right, between what you want in the moment and what you were made to become. And it doesn't go away, it doesn't sleep, it follows you, it waits for you. The moment your eyes open, it's there ready to pull you back into the patterns you said you were done with. This is why every day begins with a death to yourself, a death to your pride, a death to your comfort. You don't get to coast into holiness. You don't accidentally stumble into discipline. You don't drift toward faithfulness. The current of life flows in the opposite direction, and if you're not paddling against it, you're moving backward, whether you feel it or not. This is what so many people don't understand. They think that growth is a season, that it's a feeling, that once they're inspired, then they'll change. But feelings are a trap. Inspiration is short-lived. What matters is what you do when you don't feel it. What matters is what you say to your soul when it wants to give up. What matters is the cross you carry, not just once, not just at the altar, but every day. Daily dying, you want to be free, die to your old self. You want to be strong, die to your weakness. You want to walk in truth, die to your pride, your self-made wisdom, your craving for applause. There is no resurrection without crucifixion. There is no rising unless something first dies. Everyone wants to rise. No one wants to die. But you don't get to skip the cross. You don't get to skip the cutting away, the exposing, the painful, hidden work that no one sees. That is the soil of transformation. It's in those moments, when you're exhausted, when you're discouraged, when temptation grips your chest and whispers in your ear, that you decide what kind of person you're becoming. Not in public, not on a stage, in the silence, in the small, unseen corners of the day, when no one would blame you for giving in and you say no, when no one would notice if you cut corners and you choose integrity, when every part of you is screaming to escape and you choose to stay and fight. That is daily dying, that is daily rising. You don't need a new situation. You don't need everything around you to change. What you need is to wake up and die again, to look at your comfort and say, you don't own me, to look at your lust and say, you won't master me, to look at your fear and say, I'm not your prisoner. You kill it again. And again and again, and when it comes back tomorrow, you kill it again, because this is not a one-time event. This is a life, a narrow road, a daily battle. The cross is not a necklace. It's not a decoration. It's not an emotional moment in a song. It's an instrument of death. It's where things go to be finished, to be put down for good, and the old you, the selfish you, the bitter you, the proud you, the lazy you, that version of you does not get to survive today. If it lives, you die, but if you die to it, you live. That's the paradox. That's the power. The way up is down. The way to victory is surrender. The way to life is death. You are not called to do what feels good. You are called to do what is right. You are not called to chase emotion. You are called to choose obedience every single day, whether your heart is on fire or cold as stone. You pick up the cross. You say no to yourself. You say yes to truth, and that is where real power begins. That is where the old chains start to crack, not because of hype or excitement, but because you decided, by grace, you die again. The flesh doesn't go quietly. It doesn't surrender because you made one good decision. It comes back, it fights, it adapts, it uses guilt, shame, pride, fatigue, distraction, whatever it can. It waits for the moment you're tired, alone, discouraged, and then it strikes. But this is why you train your soul. You don't wait until the moment of battle to prepare. You wake every day and declare war before it begins. You don't just hope to resist. You choose to resist. You don't just wish to change. You die so that you can be changed. You'll lose battles. That's the truth. There will be days when you don't win. Days when the old self gets its way. But that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you're finished. It means you get back up, you repent, you stand, you lift your eyes. You don't let failure define you. You let grace carry you back to the fight. You don't make peace with the flesh. You don't excuse your sin. You don't lower the standard to make yourself comfortable. You raise your heart to meet the standard even if you stumble doing it. This is not about perfection. It's about persistence. The question isn't, did you fall? The question is, did you rise again? Did you keep going? Did you keep dying? Did you refuse to make excuses? Did you go back to the altar and lay yourself down again? Because that's what matters. That's what makes the difference. Not how you feel, not how others see you, but whether you are willing to keep dying, because every time you die, something more beautiful rises. The world doesn't understand this. They see discipline as legalism. They see sacrifice as unnecessary. They think love means no cost, no demand, no death. But love costs everything. Love lays down its life. Love gives up its rights. Love doesn't cling to comfort. It carries the cross. And if you walk in love, then you walk into death daily, so that life can be born in others. That's the goal. That's the point. Not to feel good, to become good. Not to be served, but to serve. Not to be noticed, but to be faithful. You are not alone in this fight. Others are waking up today and dying too. Others are standing even when everything in them wants to fall. You are part of a hidden army, not loud, not flashy, but unbreakable, because they've learned the secret, that when you die, you rise. And not in your own strength, not with pride, but with peace, with courage, with clarity. That kind of strength doesn't come from books. It doesn't come from emotion. It comes from death. Every time you deny yourself, you are not losing. You are gaining clarity, gaining strength, gaining authority in the spirit that the world cannot explain. The world chases control. You surrender. The world clings to pride. You bow. The world celebrates indulgence. You choose restraint, and because of that, you rise with power they can't understand. Don't wait until you feel ready. You never will. Don't wait until you've figured everything out. You never will. Obey now. Die now. Rise now. Even when you don't feel it. Especially when you don't feel it. That's when it matters most. Because dying when it's easy isn't dying. It's just convenience. Dying when it hurts. That's real. That's where transformation happens. Stop measuring your spiritual life by how inspired you are. Start measuring it by how obedient you are. Stop asking, do I feel close to truth? And start asking, am I walking in it, whether I feel it or not? Because the feelings will follow, or they won't. But obedience is the path either way, and daily dying is the only way you get there. Not just once, not just in the big moments, every day, quietly, faithfully, with grit in your teeth and truth in your bones. You are becoming something every day. The only question is, what are you becoming? Are you becoming softer, weaker, more indulgent, more entitled? Or are you becoming stronger, deeper, more humble, more pure? That's determined not by what you believe in theory, but by what you die to in practice. It's determined by what you crucify, what you put to death, what you refuse to let live one more day inside of you. So when you feel the pull to give in, when you feel the temptation to take the easy path, when you feel the voice of the flesh whisper, "Just this once," answer it with the sound of nails being driven into wood. Say, "Not today, not this time. Today I die, and because I die, I will rise again." Because this is the way, it has always been the way, daily dying, daily rising, until there is no more death left to die. Everywhere you look, the world is offering something to consume. It's in your pocket, on your screen, in your ears, in your mind. Voices pulling at you, promising satisfaction, comfort, success, happiness, if you'll just take. Take more time for yourself. Take more attention. Take more pleasure. Take more ease. But what no one is telling you is that a life built on consumption will never satisfy. It only leaves you hungrier. Because you weren't made to consume, you were made to build. There is something fundamentally different between a person who wakes up asking, "What can I get?" and one who wakes up asking, "What can I give?" One is hollow, chasing the wind. The other is grounded, building something solid. And what you are building matters, not just for the world around you, but for the condition of your soul. You will either become a person of substance or a person of appetite. And appetite, when it rules a life, will consume everything, including the person carrying it. You don't have to look far to see this play out. Look at the man who consumes every pleasure he can afford. Look at the woman who fills her days with distraction. Look at the child who never learned to give because they were only taught to receive. Do they seem free? Do they seem full? Or are they always searching, always reaching, always restless? This is what happens when a life is built around taking instead of giving, around pleasing the self instead of pouring out for something higher. A life that consumes eventually turns inward. It loses its purpose. It turns everything into a transaction. What do I get from this? What's in it for me? And when you live like that, even the good things, relationships, work, community, become poisoned. You become a taker. And takers may be loud, they may be celebrated, but they never last, because taking is not sustainable. It leads to emptiness, to addiction, to despair. The more you consume, the more you need. The more you take, the less you have. It's a cycle of decay disguised as freedom, but the one who builds, who wakes up every morning to invest, to give, to create, to serve, that person doesn't fade. They leave something behind. They stand when others collapse. Because they aren't just living for the moment. They're laying stones. They're building character. They're shaping lives. They're forging a legacy that cannot be erased by time or trouble. You don't need to build something famous. You don't need to be known, but you do need to build something real. Maybe it's a marriage rooted in sacrifice. Maybe it's children raised in truth and discipline. Maybe it's a business built on integrity. Maybe it's a community that thrives because you chose to carry burdens no one else would touch. That's what matters, not how many followers you have, not how many likes you collect, but how much weight your life can carry, what strength it gives to others, what light it shines into darkness. Building isn't glamorous, it's dirty, it's quiet, it's hard. You don't get applause for it. No one claps when you get up early to do the work. No one throws a party when you say no to your impulses, when you serve instead of demand, when you take the long road of faithfulness instead of the shortcut of compromise. But you're not doing it for applause. You're doing it because it's right. You're doing it because you know that in the end, when everything else has faded, what you built in secret will stand in the open. You see, the consumer life is loud. It makes noise, seeks validation, begs for attention, but the builder life is steady. It doesn't need to announce itself. It proves itself over time when the storms come, and they will. It is not the consumers who endure. It is the builders, It is the ones who laid a foundation in truth, the ones who refused to waste their strength on things that pass away, the ones who said, "I will spend my life doing what matters, not what flatters," and building costs you something. That's why so few do it. It takes time, energy, focus, pain. It requires you to go without so that others can go with. It calls you to sacrifice when no one else will. It demands you show up even when you're tired, even when you're misunderstood, even when your motives are questioned. Because building is not about how you feel, it's about what you know is right. And doing what is right will always cost you, but not doing it will cost you even more. What are you doing with your strength? With your time, your resources, your influence? Are you consuming or are you building? Are you taking or are you giving? Because you can't do both. Eventually, one will win. One will shape your future. One will define your legacy. The world says you only live once, so indulge. But that's a lie. You only live once, so don't waste it. You only live once, so build something that matters. Spend your life like it's worth something. Pour it out, not for recognition, but for righteousness. The best things you will ever do are the ones no one sees. The most important people you will influence may never thank you, but heaven sees, eternity sees, and your soul knows when you've done something real. Building isn't about image, it's about substance. It's about showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not, and laying another brick. Some days the bricks are heavy. Some days they're cracked, but you lay them anyway, because you know that your life is a wall that others will lean on one day. Your life is a shelter someone else will need, and if you don't build, what will they lean on? What will they run to? You have more to offer than you think. You have more strength than you feel, but you will never find it by sitting back and taking. You will only find it by giving, by stretching, by doing the hard thing when everyone else is doing what's easy. That's when you grow. That's when you find out who you really are. Not when things are easy, but when you choose to build in the middle of difficulty. The consumer lives off others. The builder lives for others. One drains, the other sustains. One burns bright and burns out. The other burns slow and lasts. What kind of fire is in you? What kind of legacy are you writing? Don't wait for someone to give you permission. Start building now. Build when no one notices. Build when you're tired. Build when you're afraid. Build even when you're not sure how it will turn out. Because every act of obedience, every act of service, every time you put others first, every time you tell the truth when it costs you, every time you love when it hurts, you are building something eternal. There will always be people who mock builders. They'll say you're wasting your time, that you're too serious, that you need to live a little. But they don't understand what life really is. Life isn't consumption. Life is contribution. Life is bearing fruit that others can eat. Life is creating space for others to flourish. And when you live like that, you won't regret it. You won't be remembered for what you took. You'll be remembered for what you gave. You can't build and be selfish at the same time. You can't build and be lazy. You can't build and be ruled by what feels good in the moment. You've got to dig deep. You've got to work through pain. You've got to choose what lasts over what's easy. That's what makes it worth it. That's what separates the builders from the consumers. So ask yourself every day, am I consuming or contributing? Am I just taking space or am I building something with it? Am I feeding off others or feeding others? Because your answer to those questions will shape not just your future, but the future of everyone around you. Build quietly, build faithfully, build with grit and grace. Don't chase applause, chase purpose. Don't chase comfort, chase conviction. Don't chase recognition, chase righteousness. And over time, your life will become a structure of strength. Others will look to you not because you demanded attention, but because your life demands respect. Not because you said the right things, but because you did the hard things. Not because you took more than you gave, but because you gave more than you had to. And in the end, when everything else fades, when the noise dies down, when the distractions are gone, when the things that used to excite you no longer do, you will stand, not because you were perfect, but because you built when it was hard, when it was costly, when it was lonely. You chose to live for something more than yourself, and that choice, repeated day after day, is what makes a life worth living.